Hello and welcome to your weather forecast for March 13th, 2025. And I'm not here for no reason. I'm here to cover this upcoming massive storm that is about to rampage the plains, the South, and the Midwest. So let's get right into it because this storm is interesting. So, of course, starting here, this is our storm already. It is producing a lot of snow and some rain over here in the Rockies. And here is our small severe weather system that came across earlier this week, and that is going to move out quite quickly. And we got some moisture down here. So, with no warning, let's get right into it. So, first of all, we gotta break down our convective outlooks because this is going to set the stage for the whole forecast. So, here we are. We have a moderate risk in Illinois, eastern Missouri, over here a little bit of Tennessee and Kentucky, up here in Iowa, and our enhanced risk and slight risk go slightly further north and a lot further south down into the southeast tonight. That will be mostly tonight. But this is going to produce a lot of wind and potentially a pretty significant tornado outbreak. But what gets interesting is how significant this wind can get. Look at this. We have 45% hatched risk of damaging wind. And as you can see down here, we have quite a bit of stuff here that could be very big. So, yeah, again, this is like right there in that moderate risk. This is what it's driven by. Of course, we do have a 30% hail risk, but we actually have the largest hatched risk of tornadoes so far this year. This is a large, widespread 10% hatched risk from anywhere from central Mississippi and Alabama all the way up into Iowa. So, yeah, this is quite a big storm, and it doesn't stop with tomorrow because we have yet another moderate risk. This is 2 moderate risks in a row, and we haven't seen a moderate risk yet this year. So, yeah, this is rare. We have it right here from Louisiana all the way up here into Alabama, and a slight risk is all the way up to Lake Erie. So this is not just down in the deep south, although most of the tornadic stuff and super powerful stuff will be down here. But we could see some significant stuff all the way up here, and maybe even some general thunderstorms up into Canada. And if you want to see our percent chance, we do have 45% risk with hatched here. We do not have categories yet. We'll have to wait until tomorrow to see those. But it is already looking interesting with a moderate risk. And this one is looking more to be driven by tornadoes. And then we also, I would see like 15% hatch risk of tornadoes, I think is likely. So there's that. Let's move on. So here is what's actually going to happen. So, all right. So here's what's going to happen. We have this stuff here, and that is going to move more snow across the west. And we're actually going to have yet another atmospheric river moving in. And as you can see here, we have one of the most intense pressures ever out here in the plains. In March. Yeah, this is March, guys. And this is what is gonna make this system very, very, very interesting. So we're gonna see our first storms likely over here in Kansas, potentially. And we do have a snowstorm that is going to be working up here, and that is going to bring blizzard-like conditions because we have a bunch of wind here. And oh my goodness, we do have a line of storms through Missouri and Iowa, even back here in Nebraska a little. But it's going to be mostly a Missouri and Iowa kind of a setup here. But it is going to really move into Illinois. With this model run, I wouldn't rule out like a derecho here, which is like a long track windstorm. We won't know until after, but that does seem interesting. And we are down to 973. And look, it's been like that for like a long time. So it's going to stay that intensity for quite a while. And it looks like we are actually going to have some freezing rain as well. But as you can see here, I think we will have some significant, like, more tornadic storms down here potentially. But we could even have storms moving into Indiana and Michigan as we head into tomorrow night. But here's where things get interesting, because things just continue as we head into Saturday. This model doesn't show it as much, but there's likely going to be storms up here in the north here, which could be pretty significant, let me say. But here's where our day 3 is coming in. We have our significant stuff right up here, and that is going to produce lots of storms over here in Mississippi this time. Now I'm getting it switched up. Sorry, guys. But anyway, right into Louisiana, Arkansas, and this is going to, become quite widespread. But here is our most significant spot, because we're going to see quite a bit of tornadic systems here. As we can see, these supercellular systems kind of pop up. But that's as far as this model goes out, so I can't go farther than that. So I'm going to show you one more before we track to a couple other different parameters yet. So here is the HER. This is one of the most trusted models, and as well as the NAM. I think these are probably our top 2 convective allowing models. And this one is showing it going quite down into the low 970s, which again is like a category 1 or category 2 hurricane intensity wise. And that is before most of our stuff really pops up. And as you can see already, there's a lot of difference here between this and the NAM. The NAM showed it pop up all the way back here, but this one doesn't show it popping up until a lot later. This would be a better case scenario where it pops up over here further east in eastern Iowa and Missouri instead of over here in Kansas and Nebraska. And it would be about the same significance further east, and it does look like it'll die out as we head over into Ohio. But something that is different, though, is look at this. We have potentially long track supercells as we head into early Saturday. See, this one just continues to keep going right up through Mississippi. And yeah, that could be possible, too. And look, we have like a little gate here for the warm air to come back after these kind of steal away the warm air from it, and then it is just going to come very strong. And again, this one does not go out far enough, so we'll have to wait till tomorrow to get all the details for Saturday. So let's see what some of the convective potential looks like. So again, this is the CAPE. I've showed you this a couple times. It's like severe weather potential, but we're going to look at this for a little bit here. And it does look like as we head into tonight, we're going to see this sort of come up to the north. But here's our first risk here, where we have yellow risk all the way up here in Iowa, which is uncommon for this time of year, should I say? Not rare, just uncommon, because we've seen this before. But again, uncommon, especially in these kind of amounts. This is something more like mid-April or so. And then that is just going to continue there. And yeah, here's our Saturday risk. And this is the highest CAPE I've had since starting. I have seen since starting this channel. So this is going to be very significant because, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I cannot strain this enough. This is going to be significant and dangerous too. So yeah, weather's always interesting, isn't it? And then that is going to move out, and that severe weather potential will possibly have something little on Sunday. So here's another one here. This is supercell composite. This is like potential for like our serious supercells, and you'll see what happens here because it is also quite interesting. So here is Friday as we head into the evening. As you can tell, it is not like super high, but gets more significant as we head early on into Saturday. And this is our best chance for having like supercellular tornadic activity. Otherwise, it'll be embedded in the line. Or we could have breaks in the line, which will give them better chances to form. So there's that. And then that is going to move off. But here's where things get really interesting, because on Saturday, things are just looking crazy. This is a supercell composite all the way up here. That is a lot. And it looks like it's going to peak right in Mississippi. And I would say right in this area here, we are going to see our most significant tornadoes on Saturday. But we also have some all the way up here into Ohio, so that's very interesting as well. And again, we are not quite far out enough for Sunday, although it does look like we might have something little. And here's one more thing. This is significant tornado parameter. Significant tornado usually means EF2 or stronger. So here's what this looks like. This is like your chance for like big long track tornadoes. And we head into Friday, and it actually looks pretty decent as we head in like Mississippi, Arkansas, down in Louisiana. And it's definitely not going to get this far south and use up all this energy. But it might as we head into early Saturday. And what is interesting is what happens next. And oh my goodness. Wow. I'm sorry here. I think I'm going a little out and crazy, but this is a lot of tornado parameter. Yeah, I haven't really seen any of this since starting the channel. Of course, that's only been a month, but this does not disprove that this is going to be a significant storm, and you should be watching and staying safe. So, even higher potential over here in Mississippi, and it seems like we're gonna just have these tornado supercells just eat it up like crazy, and it's just gone. So yeah, there's that part. So here is what could happen with that snowstorm. It looks like we could have almost up to a foot and maybe a tiny band up here in maybe Minnesota. But otherwise, we're just gonna have some general snowfall up in this area from this storm, and it is going to produce blizzard-like conditions because of all the wind we're going to have. And here is our total precipitation, and we definitely could see some floods as we have this significant storm go through, especially if we have like storms from Friday night, Saturday, early Saturday, and storms from Saturday night into Sunday overlapping in the same spot. And it seems like it'll be somewhere over here in Kentucky and Tennessee where that might happen, or over here in the deep south. So that is definitely something to watch. And I believe that is it for the coverage of this storm. So now we're going to look a little further out here. This is what the GFS shows for this system. And again, on Sunday, it does look like something may happen, like maybe just some damaging wind, low hail, maybe like a 5% tornado risk or something like that. I would give it like a slight risk if I were doing it. And I think that's actually what they have. So I would say, unless it like really uptrends, it will probably stay mostly slight risk of severe weather over here. But behind this, we're going to see some cooler air, and that is going to bring some cooler temperatures after some of us have had some almost record-breaking temperatures, I would say. And then after that storm moves through, we could even have some back behind kind of the snow, but not much. It would be very minimal or melting if it did happen. And then it looks like we're going to have a clipper move through Michigan, which is going to produce mostly rain and maybe a little bit of snow, but it's not really going to do anything to the Northeast. And our next big storm is coming midweek next week. And this one is not looking crazy, is looking just kind of mediocre here. It could produce a little bit of severe weather, but I think the bigger thing with this one might be that we have a lot of snow up here in the upper Midwest. So there's something with that. And it looks like a lot of cool air may come down with it and actually produce some lake effect, which is uncommon for this time of year. It usually peaks around December, January, but this is March, Usually late season is not as much. So that is very interesting to watch as well, as this kind of flow is uncommon for March. And it looks like we could even have some more clippers come through. And it does look like as we head into late March, though, more significant severe weather is going to happen. And this is what happens as we head into April. But this is just what the model shows. It's not going to happen like this, but I find this kind of crazy. It just comes together like madness. It would like have perhaps severe weather over here and down here. Maybe not as significant as this storm, but the amount of freezing rain that this would produce is kind of insane for March. And yeah, but that's all for that model. Here is one more model. And again, we have these storms moving out to sea. And yes, it does seem like we're going to have a little bit of severe weather, especially as we head toward the east, where it actually could get more significant along the Carolinian coast. In our next storm with this European model, again, it does not look as significant for severe weather, although it would be highlighted right in here if there was any significant severe weather with this system. And this does not show as large of a swath of snow, but it does show some significant snow up into Canada and the upper Midwest. And again, it does look like some potentially cooler air coming through. And I feel like the Euro does have a warm bias slightly often, but also seems to have a severe weather bias as well. As we have a significant severe weather outbreak March 24th. I would say that March 24th is definitely a day to look out for it. Just keep an eye on this system because both models are showing it. And again, there's another little system moving through. So, yeah, the weather will continue to stay interesting as we continue after this storm. So, I will continue to cover it as we move closer to April. But anyway, here are our temperatures over the next little bit. These are our anomalies. We are in an almost record-breaking pattern right now for the eastern plains, and this is going to be pushed away by the cold that will come behind this weather system, but it's going to heat back up very quick, especially over here in the Midwest and plains, and it's going to stay rather cool up here into Canada, and I don't really see much warmth after these couple of days here. It's going to stay cool there, and it seems like maybe at some point, if the GFS is correct, we could see a cold blast coming in and then warm back up again. So that is very interesting. And here is what this cold thing I was showing you earlier. This storm is like way too far out, but the temperature gradient is just crazy. This is what really took me by surprise. I haven't seen a model run do this yet this year. And oof, yeah, it's like way below average over here and way above average here. And that line is just crazy. And these are their temperatures that we might have over the next week or so. And we're going to be in the 60s today up here and in the 70s in most areas in the southeast. But we're actually going to be in the 40s in southern Canada here and almost 50 over here in Ontario. So that's interesting. And then looks like potential 90s down here in South Texas, which is uncommon but not rare for this time of year. So tomorrow looks even crazier as we have 60s all the way up into Minnesota and 50s all the way up here into Manitoba area and almost 60 over here in southern Ontario. And then that storm system will push a lot of that warm air out. And we're going to have some cooler air for the next couple of days. And then it's just going to come back for a couple of days. And it looks like it's just going to continue to go like that and that. And I believe that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you after this significant severe weather outbreak is done.